The clang of steel doors echoed through Block C as inmates shuffled toward their cells. Tyrone Reed, known inside as Reaper, walked last, shoulders square, tattoos etched like history into his skin. His name carried weight on the streets and in the yard. Violence was his currency, and fear was how he ruled. But late one night, when a contraband syringe slipped from his shaking hand, the kingdom he'd built collapsed in a heartbeat. Overdose. It began with the familiar warmth spreading through his veins, then dizziness, then nothing. The cell blurred. The sound of laughter down the hall stretched and faded. He hit the floor hard. By the time the guards found him, his skin had turned gray. "Call medical," one shouted. No pulse, no breath. The nurse performed compressions, but the body under her hands was empty. For 7 minutes, Tyrone Reed was clinically dead. The descent. When he opened his eyes, he wasn't in prison anymore. He was standing in total darkness, so thick it seemed alive. The air itself burned. He tried to breathe, but the darkness entered him instead. Then came the sound, screams that weren't made by mouths, but by minds. The ground pulsed beneath his feet like something breathing. Shapes twisted in the gloom, eyes filled with hatred, and yet he realized they weren't demons. They were reflections of his own rage, every violent act given form. He stumbled backward. "This can't be real," he shouted. A voice, deep and cruel, answered from everywhere. "You made this place. You fed it with your hate." He ran, but the darkness followed. Hands clawed from the ground, dragging him down. The heat was unbearable, yet it gave no light. Every time he called for help, the voice mocked him. "Who would listen to you now, Reaper?" He dropped to his knees, despair choking him. Then from some forgotten corner of childhood, before the gangs, before the blood, he remembered his grandmother's voice. No one is too lost for Jesus. He hadn't prayed in 20 years, but he whispered, broken, "Jesus, if you're real, save me." The hand of light. Instantly, a spark cut through the dark. It grew brighter, pushing the shadows back. The screaming stopped. Heat melted into warmth. Out of that brilliance came a hand, not ghostly, but solid, alive, blazing with love so fierce it hurt to look at. A voice spoke, not condemning but sorrowful. "You were not made for this." He reached up. The moment his fingers touched the light, the world snapped apart. The awakening. The defibrillator paddles struck his chest. "Clear!" a medic shouted. His body jolted. Again, "Clear!" And suddenly, his lungs filled with air. He gasped, coughing violently. "Welcome back," the nurse said, astonished. "You scared us half to death." But Tyrone wasn't hearing her. He was sobbing. "Thank you, Jesus. Thank you." The next morning, he asked for a Bible. No one believed the change would last. They'd seen too many jailhouse conversions. But within weeks, the man who once led fights in the yard began leading prayer circles instead. He started writing letters to victims' families, to his mother, to anyone he'd ever harmed. "If you can't forgive me," he wrote, "I understand, but I met the one who already has." The transformation. Years passed. The prison chaplain, once wary, began to rely on Tyrone. He led Bible studies under flickering fluorescent lights, speaking about mercy with the same conviction he once used to incite violence. "Hell isn't just fire," he told the men one night. "It's life without love. But Jesus, he broke through that for me. He'll do it for you too." Those who mocked him at first now sat beside him, heads bowed. The toughest inmate on the block baptized 7 others using a plastic tub filled with cold water from a leaky sink. News spread beyond the walls. Volunteers visited, drawn by the revival inside. Guards who once feared him began asking for prayer. Reflection. When Tyrone was finally released, he walked out not as Reaper, but as Reverend Reed. He carries a small wooden cross carved from his old bunk frame, a reminder that grace can find anyone, anywhere. He tells his story in churches and youth centers, voice trembling each time he recalls that night. "I've been to hell," he says, "and I've seen the hand that reaches deeper." When people ask how he knows heaven is real, he smiles through tears. "Because I've seen both sides and mercy chose me. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there." Psalm chapter 139 verses 8. No soul is too far gone. Even in the darkest cell, the light still finds a way.